Dr. Jamal Hibino. He is an activist. He is joining us now live from Lafayette, Indiana. Thank you very much, Dr. Hibino, for joining us on this news hour. Please tell me, what is your navigation through the latest developments that have taken place in Ethiopia? The military offensive has stopped, and now Prime Minister Abiy has pledged to rebuild the city of Mekelle.
Thank you for having me. Actually, the news is far from being true. The military offense has never stopped. Even yesterday, a day before, right after the government announced that the military offense has been concluded, and now they are in the construction phase and the stabilization phase. The Tigray government shot down one military warplane, MiG-29, and the pilot was captured alive. And the military offense is far from over, because the Tigrayan government is using various tactics to like weaken and slowly and gradually encircle the government troops, and the government troops are paying heavy casualty, and they are not welcome in the community because they are not invited. They're seen as invaders and taking over the sovereignty of the Tigray region. So it is a popular resistance, it's a popular war. It's far from over. If you ask my opinion, it's just at the inception phase. It's at the beginning. And the spillover in other parts of the country and the region is of paramount significance also to consider here. So the news the government announced that is far from being true.
All right, now, Dr. Hibino, moving forward, I have a critical question here. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said that not even a single civilian was killed in the latest military offensive, but Amnesty International published a report on the 12th of November in which Amnesty claims that scores of civilians were killed in the Tigray massacre. Who should we believe?
It is very ridiculous for the Prime Minister, which actually has been the same way since he's coming to power. He must be leading the war that angels are fighting then. It's not like humans fighting, the warplanes are not bombarding, or the heavy military artillery or grenades are not being thrown into public areas. So it is a war between an angel and an evil in the way he puts. If a single innocent casualty was not there. You know, there are a lot of graphic pictures coming out of Tigray. A lot of innocent children, elderly, have been injured or dead, because they are indiscriminately bombarding towns they got into. You can see that the truth and verify the truth from the refugees.
Dr. Hibino, if I may interject here, so are you indicating that the bloods of scores of civilians is on the federal government's offensive's hand? Or do you think the TPLF forces are also responsible for killing scores of civilians in Tigray?
Yeah, to be very fair in here, you know, the Tigray government is defending themselves. They are not only defending the federal government. The Eritrean troops are on the ground fighting along with the Ethiopian government, and there are reports the Somali troops are on the ground, and I think they are left with no options but defending themselves, their sovereignty, their people. I don't see any crime for which they need to be crushed. You know, they elected their government, and they want more autonomy and self-governance. They are defying the wish and the want of Abiy Ahmed returning into the imperial domination. So
But
they are just
if I may
resisting
interject here,
that.
it's not this simple, is it? The TPLF does not see Abiy Ahmed's government as a legitimate actor in Ethiopia. The TPLF has been advocating for a re-election in the country in order to test Abiy Ahmed's power. And same goes for Abiy Ahmed's government. The Abiy Ahmed's government does not see the TPLF as a legitimate actor in Tigray. So I think, don't you think it's much more than what you're saying? It's beyond beyond a mere political rift?
It is way complex and beyond the simple allegation that who started the war and why the war is started, because it is an extension of 2-year-long instability in Oromia region. The Oromia people also believe the same way. The legitimacy or constitutional right of Abiy Ahmed government expired on the 5th of October. So the Abiy Ahmed is hanging on power unconstitutionally, and he is not showing any signs. He's not been elected, and he was a transitional leader, and he abused the transition, and he led the country into crisis. There is no peace and stability in any corner of the country. It's not just the Tigray, because he is fighting the war of Eritrea with Tigray. He is seeing Tigray as a threat to his dream to become the king, because there is a prophecy that his mother told him, according to his words, when he was 7, he will be the 7th king of Ethiopia. So he put a lot of activists and political leaders, the like of Jawar Mohammed from Oromia region, into prison on wrong pretense and allegation of terrorism. And he killed a lot of high-profile individuals in the country. So the country is in huge turmoil, and that turmoil now reached the climax and broke into war. So we're expecting more things and more chaos to unravel and unfold in the country from this point on. It's just the beginning of a lot of problems for me.
Right. Now, moving forward, what do you think is the possible solution to this problem? I mean, Ethiopia is a country which is divided into different ethnic groups, and each of those ethnic groups want some sort of self-governing power, some sort of sovereignty. So do you think there should be another reform within the constitution of Ethiopia which grants such autonomy to all those regions? I mean, what is the possible solution?
Yeah, actually, the possible solution is now way beyond the hands of the prime minister or even the Ethiopians. The international community need to take swift action to stop the bloodshed. This is a senseless war waged simply to realize the the coronation of one man as a king. So the international community need to interfere, the war need to stop, and Abiy Ahmed's time on power has expired. Transition justice need to be ensured. All opposition leaders, the community, and international community need to come together and work on some kind of transition, because this problem is already spilling into a wider region of East Africa. It's not just stopping there. So the AU tried to mediate. The Nobel Peace Laureate resorted to gun, and gun can never bring solution. Can kill people, but you cannot make them love you or give you legitimacy or cannot capture the heart and the mind of the people. So it needs a very comprehensive, all-inclusive transition.
Okay, now my last question to you. There is no doubt about the fact that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed chose to move forward with a military solution to the problem between Tigray and the federal government. But what would you say about the Tigray forces not condemning the killing of at least 600 civilians? The Ethiopian Commission for Human Rights published a report in which it said 600 civilians were killed in the massacre in Tigray.
And that allegation needs to be left for independent investigation. I'm not privy. There are very conflicting reports that it's not the Tigrayan forces, it's rather the Amaro region special forces and the military, paramilitary groups that has undertaken that despicable atrocities on civilians. So that pending independent investigation, I condemn either party that is inflicting harms and really committing the atrocities on unarmed civilians. The armed civilians need to be off limit, and that's why we need international interference and all stakeholders to make sure that a second Mike Hadra or another Mike Hadra not from happening in the region.
All right, Dr. Jamal Habino, thank you very much for talking to us on A News. We really appreciate your taking out the time.
Thank you for having me.